and the creek don't rise. And the creek don't rise. And hi, my name is Kevin McDonald, and I'm declaring my independence. Independence from what? Why, negative thoughts and energy, of course. Chief among them, hate, division, and fear. You see, I know that we're all one, and together we can solve any problem, save our planet and each other. Please, join me as we come together as one and choose a better way to be. So now, let's begin with my independence report. And welcome everybody to my Independence Report. It is Monday, the Monday before Christmas.
Oh yeah.
It is a beautiful day. Well, it's okay. It's raining up here. How's it in California, young man?
It's it's just cold. You know, like I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 layers on right now. A shirt, 2 sweaters, and my t-shirt. So
can I ask what the temperature is though?
I was gonna say.
Oh. Let me see where. Oh, I look at my phone. I'll tell you right now. Look it up on. I'll say, what's the weather here? Let's see, weather forecast.
Because we were just talking before we got on about our weather, and I was saying that we actually have snow. You know, that in between rain and snow coming down where it goes flat on the windshield. And so we're down, like I'm at like 37, I think, 35, 36, 37.
Gosh, then I'm in tropical, I'm 56 degrees
and you
and I got 4 layers on. I think as you get older, you can't stand the cold as much.
Yes.
You know, that's why everybody moves from Ohio to like Florida and to Arizona. You know, they said they just can't stand the cold anymore. So
yeah, but then they come back because they can't stand 115 degrees either.
Yeah, or the humidity if in Florida. Of course, it's humid too. Like say up in New York and to like Florida and to Arizona.
So
yeah, Arizona's just really hot.
Yes. Oh yeah.
So I haven't paid attention to what's going on in the rest of the country today as far as the weather or anything, but I know yesterday or something in some place they were expecting like 2 feet of snow or something. Someplace in the US, I don't know.
Back east they had a nor'easter, and that may have been the one yesterday, but they've been.
Yeah, my friend Tony called me from New York City today. And they were walking in the snow, and then he's getting ready to go to Florida in 2 days. So he's an interesting character. You know, we're talking about what happens between lives and things, and he's always been a wild and crazy kind of guy. On the Enneagram, he's a 7, which is called the adventurer. So he's always like looking for the new adventure. Like he'll get all excited about one thing, and then something else comes along, and he'll drop that, go to the next. And he's been kind of home free for about 10 years now. And he and his girlfriend have, from living in their cars to living down in Mexico when I was down there for a while. And he's always on the fringes of everything. And I did a past life regression for him. I did it in my van when I was down towards San Diego when they were down there. And he had an interesting life. He was, you know, what I put people in trance, or they put themselves in trance, and I had him you know, go through a up to the sky, float in the cloud, and I just told him when he left the cloud and came down, he'd be standing at another lifetime, another place. And he found himself on a boat in the middle of the ocean. And so in asking him more questions, everybody just called him boy. They say, boy, do this, boy, do that. He was like the houseboy on a big ship, you know, probably like the errand boy or something. And then I had him go to something else significant that happened to him in that life. And he was swimming. The boat had sunk, and a few of them were just struggling to survive. And another boat came by and picked him up. and they didn't speak the same language as him. And he said, like, they don't speak King's English or something. Anyway, he was trapped on there for a long time, maybe a couple of years, and they made him clean fish, and like they kept him as kind of a slave. And then he escaped from there, had him go to another event, and he was where elephants were, found out he was in India.
Mhm.
And so I asked him, I said, well, what's your name and anything? And he kept changing names, and then later on I said, what's your name? And I said, why do you have so many names? And he goes, lots of women, like he's having to change his name to get away from women that he's been with. And then I had him take it to the death scene where I said, and what you do in this process where I'll just say, okay, now what I want you to do is go to the last day of your life and tell me what's happening. He was with a guy that had a basket with a cobra in it. And what he did, he was trying to be smart to catch the cobra, and the cobra bit him and he died from the cobra. And and that's just like him now in this lifetime. I mean, he'll do that kind of thing. He just go, let's try this, and not really think first, So I had him go to his funeral, and I remember the look on, he's in trance. So he grimaces. I go, what's going on? He goes, they just threw me in the river. They just threw my body in the river. They didn't bury it, So, I can't wait to do a life between lives thing with him. Like, I keep telling him next time he comes to California, which whenever his adventure gets back here again, I want to do that because he's such an interesting character and he's had such a varied life. That he's been he's the one I talked about was kidnapped several times in Mexico, and they kidnapped him and his girlfriend. What the cartel did down there. I was living down there too, but I stayed away from cartel and everything. I just minded my own business. But he was always, getting in with people, and then he hired a guy to be a translator for him to do some business down there. And then when he was doing the business, the guy holds a 357 Magnum at him. And the stuff that the Mexican shop owner that bought this stuff from him just stole the stuff from him, said you can't do anything about it. And he couldn't pay the interpreter, and he didn't know the interpreter was a low guy on the totem pole working for a cartel. So that guy tells the cartel, this guy hired me, didn't pay me. So then they kidnapped Tony and them. And for 2 weeks, every day, they said they were going to kill him. They have some pretty bad post-traumatic stress from that, both of them, because they go kind of nuts when we talk about it. But anyway, finally one day, because Tony's a schmoozer, and he talked him out of, one day they had a bunch of prostitutes in there or something, and Tony sees some cards and he goes, let's play strip poker, and and he's just doing all this stuff trying to be all colorful. And they finally opened the door one day and said, just get out of here. So they left. And then about 3 months later, those three guys, those cartel guys there, end up getting their heads cut off by a rival, not because of what they did to him, but just a rival cartel people. So those guys went bye-bye. But anyway, he's got stories,
So why do you suppose it is? This is for both of you guys. Why do you suppose? By the way, that's Regan Forsten, and that is Natasha Venter. She's a medium. He's a hypnotherapist, and the premise of the show is that we are talking about life between lives and what happens on the other side with us, and when we come back and stuff. But that's a perfect illustration, Regan. What do you suppose it is that makes some of us want to be adventurers like that, and some of us want to sit at home and watch TV?
Well, people that have had multiple past lives, they kind of find out that a lot of times you're in one life, you'll be adventuresome and something, and the next life you're a wallflower. I remember the case of a person who came down and wanted to be a writer and explore and learn from being creative as a writer and everything. And he was born into a rich family, and so much happened in that family that he never could get any writing done because it was always this party and that party and travel and everything. So when he got to the other side and he picked out his new life, he says, I'm not letting that happen to me again, because I want to go down and I want to learn what I can about the world and my life through writing, that expression. So he actually picked a life where he was going to be a woman, and at an early age, he was going to be crippled, and he could actually see what was going to happen. He's going to get run over by They're going to fall out of a carriage, like, and another carriage coming by was going to hit him and cripple him. So that's exactly what happened. He came into the life and fell out of a carriage, boom. And so he ended up, being in a kind of relatively poor family, but because of his injury, that forced him to be in one place, couldn't go anywhere. And he said it was a wonderful life because he got his mission done, which was to write, so no distractions, some people, and Natasha's probably seen this happen too with people that, everybody thinks you want to come back and you want to be rich and you want to be in a gorgeous body and everything like that. But some people purposely pick lives where they're, just plain or ugly or something, because there's so much karma that comes along with being rich and beautiful. It's not always fun and games,
Well, Natasha, you have said that you have explored some of your past lives.
Oh, yeah.
And that you've been a man in a past life.
Mm-hmm. I've also been a primal. When I was in my primal years, like they're kind of coming up where they're kind of wondering if there was people who had wings and kind of a different form of a head, and then kind of the human legs. And I see myself as a human in primalness back then too. So we're all kind of mixed up of different things.
So what's it like being a man in a past life? Being a woman now, it's got to be a bit different, yes?
Though, when you're there, you're who you are.
Yeah.
It's not like, and for me, but I think I have a different perspective on this a little bit too, because my dad and I were best friends when I was growing up. So for me and him, we just always talked about male, female, like it was just kind of like he was sometimes female, I was sometimes male. It wasn't like we were gender-ish even when I was younger, even though I was their daughter, you know what I mean? But in the sense of that when you're there, you're who you are. So you're not really attached to, well, in this lifetime, I'm a female, in this lifetime. I know in my soul, it tends to enjoy being more feminine than masculine. So I tend to have more feminine lifetimes than masculine, but I can picture one where I was like hefty and I was lifting weights and, because I needed that experience for my soul. My soul asked for that experience of just being very physical. This lifetime, I haven't been able to be very physical because of different scenarios that happened in my life that, I had a neck thing, but yet I really kind of go back to how many past lives did I have my neck cut off or hung or poisoned or, so I'm like in this lifetime kind of dealing with a lot of those to clean that up. And so my neck and I don't like have a lot of things that I swallow because I don't want to be that poisoned, what do you want to call it? Similarities. Are kind of the same. So my throat goes, no, not this time. It's like for even eating vitamins, I have to eat something with it, to get them down because I can't get things down my throat. So, we all kind of have these things that we work through in our past lives. And just because we're male, female, or like my daughter who's now binary, so she's both, and her soul is, and I see her as a twin soul, where she kind of walks kind of in the middle, but she kind of goes more feminine than masculine.
Yeah.
We all kind of have these things I can't tell you it was any worse or any better, because males have their betters and males have their worsters, and so does female, it's like, we have those things that, males have their strengths, women have their weaknesses, males have their weaknesses, female have their strengths. And so each one kind of what life I was in kind of fit that gender.
Yeah. When I have people on the other side, it's just like what you said, Natasha, in a way, when they're deep in trance and then say I have a woman, all of a sudden she's a man, most of the time, it's just matter of fact, they're just talking, well, I'm a man, boom. And it's interesting. And they're just living that life. I had a 10-year-old girl. Maybe I told you that story before, but for people that are new listening to this, it's interesting. She told her parents when she was 3 years old that she was stabbed to death in the backseat of a car. And the parents just thought, well, this is weird. They didn't at the time believe in reincarnation, any of that, but she kept that till, every year. And she's a little scared because of that, So they brought her to me, and I had them in the room with me because she's only 10, of course. And reason we don't like to do past life regression with children sometimes is sometimes you come to a traumatic event and we don't want to traumatize them. And a 10-year-old brain sometimes can't do that. Yeah, I remember we talked about this now because I remember that. But anyway, she went right into trance and just seamlessly, all of a sudden she's a man named George in another life. And I'm talking to her, I'm asking her questions. And it was like it was nothing. Here's this 10-year-old girl, and all of a sudden she's a man in another lifetime with a wife and kids. And because she's there and she's experiencing these past memories, it's like she's that person. And when her wife died, when George, the girl's name, I'll make up a name, Irene. When Irene, in another lifetime, she was George. She was married to a woman, and this little 10-year-old girl that you could, when the wife passed away, this little 10-year-old girl who's George, and then, gosh, it was like he was going through, like when you just had your wife die. I mean, it's just amazing, But like I said last week about the man that I had that when I had him go to a significant event, he was a dancer, like a harem dancer for men in some place. And so his name was Bill, but in this other life, I forget what the name was. We got the name from him. But anyway, he says, well, I'm moving around, And he goes, oh my gosh, I had him look at his hands. And he goes, oh my gosh, these are women's hands. And I said, what are you doing? Or something. He had this long red kind of tight fitting clothes on or something. And he's dancing. And I said, then what gave me the clue was, I said, so is there other men around? He says, yeah, and they're all looking at me. And he goes, ooh, I know what they're thinking, And then I had him go to another significant part in that lifetime. And all of a sudden he's like, oh my God. And I said, what's happening? He says, I'm having a baby, So, he now that he had that experience, when he came out of it and we're talking about that past life experience, he just kind of laughed. But at the same time, he goes, man, I'm sure glad I'm not a woman and have to have a baby. That was really hard, So, you just find when you're over there too, sex, whether you're male or female or androgynous or whatever you are, it's just what you are and what you need at the time. It's like no big deal. We make such a big deal out of it here in our lives here, and we have all this stuff. That's why I think this new gender ideation or whatever they're doing now is wonderful, because it's just showing that sexualness and who we are, male, female, a combination of both, a certain percentage of each. It's just who we are, like, so what, Exactly. Everybody should just be who they need to be, and, quit all this, prejudice against it.
So both of you had a question for you. All three of us, first of all, Regan, you obviously believe in reincarnation, yes?
Yeah.
And Natasha obviously believes in reincarnation, as do I. Why don't we ever remember what happened before?
I'll let Natasha go with that.
We're not supposed to. And many of us, like for me, let me back up. There's some of us that are supposed to. There's some of us that are connected that way. There's some of us that have a knowing, that we do. But there's some of us that choose not to because they kind of want to come into the world innocently. And I'm going to apply this to like a woman who has had a baby, and then she decides to miraculously go through it again because she kind of goes into that. Yeah, there's a part of her that just kind of goes in the back seat of saying, that wasn't something that I needed to worry about. I don't need to worry about it. That pain kind of, I don't want to say goes away, but it just kind of becomes nullified, for lack of a better word. And being a woman of having 2 children, I can understand that better than you two in this lifetime, But I want to go back to that, because the one thing I do get, though, having past lives as a man, that and me being in the who I am today and recognizing that I can go back to those, that when I have a friend whose male is having a problem, I can have sympathy and empathy for him in a different way than a woman who has blinders on and who is not connected to any of their past life. You know, but past lives do tend to sneak up on us. Kind of like where I was sitting in a auditorium type thing, and this one woman heard a noise, and she goes, "Oh God! Every time I hear that noise, I don't know why it bothers me." And I told her, well, you know, because it was kind of in this kind of realm of talking. It was in a spiritual conversation we were having, and I said, because you were on a ship that actually went down, and that was the last sounds that you heard. And she goes, oh, because I don't even like water. You know what I mean? And so lives do come up. And sometimes when we're supposed to recognize it, it's amazing who the universe puts in our lives to kind of bring out those little gems. Because now, like she says, now I got the understanding. So now it doesn't vibrate in me like it used to. You know, she told me later that it just kind of gave her some ease when she heard that noise, that it wasn't something that was happening now, it was something that happened then.
Yeah. It's a magical thing. And that's one of the benefits of, for people listening out there, of having a past life regression, is if you do have something traumatic going on in your life, sometimes you know what happened. Like, you know, if something in this, if you were, like, say, mugged or something, and now you've got this thing about, you know, going out your front door. But sometimes people have that feeling and nothing's even happened to them. And they go, I don't know why, but ever since I'm little, I'm afraid I can't go close to the beach, you know, or anytime I hear, like you said, a sound or something, and I freak out. And they go, I don't know why, there's no reason for it, you know. But when I have people go deep, then I suggest to the subconscious, I'll say, okay, now that you're deep, I'm going to count to 3, and I want you to take me back to when this all started. And actually, that's how this, years and years ago, one of the cases that's been written in books about how this research started happening into past lives is the psychologist was trying to find out why this man limped. He always limped, but there was nothing wrong with his leg. And he went to the doctor, they did x-rays and nothing. And so the doctor says, maybe it's psychosomatic. Maybe you should go and get hypnotized and see if something happened in childhood or something. So the psychiatrist had him go back and back and back and further on, he's younger and younger, researching his brain, and they couldn't find anything in this lifetime. So the psychologist says, well, just told the subconscious, just go back. When did this happen? And all of a sudden the man in the chair is moving around like, and he goes, what's happening? And he was having a bayonet fight with a soldier, and like a German soldier, and he got stabbed right in the leg right where he's limping all the time. And neither he nor the psychologist believed in past lives or anything, but the man says, oh my God, it was so real. You know, I mean, here I am fighting, and I was just like I was there, and all of a sudden I get hit right there. Well, that's what started the research, and it might have been Dr. Weiss, Brian Weiss, maybe. You know, he's probably the most known for doing past life regressions. It's one of his stories, or someone else that's famous like him. But anyway, a few months later, the man's not limping anymore. You know, so yeah, that's one of the benefits of past life regressions. You get some healing, or you can get a bigger viewpoint of, like, you know, why are you a certain way? So the door is closed. They call it the veil of forgetfulness. Like, and it generally happens right as you come out of the womb, and then whoop, the wall goes up. But it's not 100%. So for some people it is. Others, you know, like a lot of children, until they're 4 or 5 years old, they're still kind of connected to the other side, aren't they, Natasha? You know, and that's when they talk to mom and dad. They go, well, when I was big before, or when I was a mom and dad, or I have another mommy and daddy, or something like that, you know. And they're actually remembering, you know, some of that. And then it seems at a certain point that God or something shuts the door a little more, because it's time for them to get on with whatever they need to do in this lifetime, you know.
When my son was 3, he said to my wife at the time, he said, you know, when I was the mother and you were the son, and so it was like, huh, what? But little kids, they hold on to those memories a lot more. Now, before we go and skip merrily on to a different subject, we do have a question from Susan. Is my lifelong issue with food related to a past life, or is it a challenge that I planned for this life? Because it's been a big issue going on forever. So I'll have both of our experts weigh in on that. Regan, you first.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you an example. It actually could be either or. And that's why if you go to a therapist, first thing to do is just try to, go do the simple thing first and try to explore and find out if there's anything in this lifetime that's kind of made you be that way. Here's a case history from another therapist I know. This woman had a thing with weight all of her adult life. And she tried she says, there's a diet out there. I've tried it. I've lost a little weight. I gained it back and more. She says, I'm just about ready to give up. I can't figure out what this is. So the therapist regressed her, got her in this relaxed state where you can access this subconscious, and told the subconscious to say, okay, 1, 2, 3, I want to take her back to where this began. All of a sudden, this woman is in a scene where she's holding the hand of her mother, and they're walking down a sidewalk, and the cement had kind of come up in one place, and the little girl tripped and skinned her knee. Well, as she's crying in pain from the knee there, her mother reached down, put a cookie in her mouth and said, this will make it feel better. Well, when a kid's just 3 or 4 years old, that goes into their little young brain is like, oh, when I'm feeling and I feel hurt, I put a cookie in my mouth and it's not going to hurt so bad anymore.
And so, generally, that's true. It doesn't hurt as bad if you have
no, because and one thing is you're taking your mind off the hurt because you go, oh, I'm having a cookie now, So anyway, she was able to lose weight after that. But sometimes it could be like just saying another lifetime. If you starved, maybe you were starved to death. Maybe you had a family where you died of famine or something. So you come into this lifetime, and anytime you have a chance of getting food or eating, you do that because you don't want to go through that process of starving yourself to death. So it could be either. So you try one. If it doesn't work, it's not something in this lifetime, then you try to go back and just, explore, see if it could have started from another lifetime.
Natasha, what's your take?
Well, knowing Sue, because I've done many sessions with her, so that I would say that, there's a couple of lifetimes that I'm going back to for her that one is the Egyptian time when she was part of the king. She was part of the lead, and so I see her being fed food a lot. So food was very rewarding because the peasants didn't have food, but the people of money did. And so there was part of that, but also too, I'm getting that this is part of her life journey dealing with, and I'm just going to say the brother, and there's some things going on with mother, father, that those three things kind of tied into a little bit of the stories of past lives where food was rewarding. And so then with all the negative things that happened for her, that food was rewarding, but it wasn't the same thing as always eating. But it was more the context of is that, the body needed protection. So to put on the weight, the body needed solace. So the food needed to come in, there's that kind of double-edged sword in a way of past lives, but then this life just kind of re-triggered some of that scenario that the body and the metabolism that you chose to come in with didn't help either.
Yeah, it's not just a easy, it's not, you have to that's why you have to just kind of explore and try this, try that. When like one of my clients lost 90 pounds after we found out, I had her in hypnosis and I started just talking to her about why she put on the weight. And we figured it, it was because she was abused. She had two relationships that were very abusive with men. So subconsciously, she said, I'm just going to make myself ugly. I don't want men, because she was a ballet dancer, actually very pretty. And she put on 90 pounds and she said, didn't have trouble with men again. that way, And then she got in a relationship where it was safe and she had someone that wasn't abusive to her and everything. She realized that she had put on the weight as a putting distance between her. And, because it's just like
A lot
putting
of
a
people do
wall
that.
up. Yeah. And when she realized that, then we got her on a sensible diet, and she lost it over about 3 years. She lost slowly and whatever. And she's back. She's 65 now, and she's taken tap dancing classes.
Oh, good for her.
I went to a recital, and it was so cool to see her up there with a bunch of other seniors. She was the youngest. There were some in their 80s, and they were doing a Christmas show. They had like 4 tap dancing numbers,
A couple things I just want to throw in here. One is that it can also be regional. There was a Comic-Con. I don't know if you ever watched what's the name of the show? It's amateurs that Simon Cowell's on it, and Howie Mandel and
Star Search.
No, it's America's Got Talent.
Oh yeah, America's Got Talent. Oh yeah.
And there was an African comedian, and English was his second language, and but he was standing up there and he was telling funny jokes and stuff. And one of them was, in my country, if you are overweight, people look at you and say, "Where'd you get the food?" Because nobody, there's not enough food there. So if you feel like you don't have enough food, then that can be it. The other one I wanted to mention was, I've seen bunches of people that have the gastric bypass surgery.
Yeah.
Lose a ton of weight and then gain it all back.
They do. And that bothers me.
Yeah, because it's not they haven't done the work. They haven't done the internal work because even when they're skinny, they still feel fat, or they feel inadequate, or they feel less than, because and so how would the two of you advocate that somebody do the work when they're in the process of losing weight so that they can keep it off? Natasha?
Well, I know for me that, I actually, when I had the opposite problem, when I left my ex-husband, I weighed below 100 pounds because my body at that time had such fast metabolism. I come by it honestly with my family histories and stuff that, but the one thing is that we all struggle with something about our self-image. And part of this is what we walk into with past lives. Some of it is what we were told when we were kids. So for me, I had low self-image, even though I had, the body that would be okay in some standards. And I'm only 5 foot. So me being heavier does not do my joints well anyways, because I'm just light bone too. And so with we have to work on self-love, and no matter where we're at, and it's not necessarily that we have to be perfect or imperfect. It's just that self-love. And so if we can just, no matter where we're at, makeup or no makeup, hair brushed or not brushed, 100 pounds or not 100 pounds, be vulnerable enough to be able to look in the mirror. Some of us need to do just a mirror. Some of us need to do a mirror. Some of us can do a mirror, and then some of us can do the full length mirror. But start somewhere and just start looking yourself in the eyes. And you don't even have to say anything. Just start looking yourself in the eyes and really start looking. Because a lot of us put on makeup, but we don't see ourselves. And then, if you can, start saying the words, I care about you. You're worthy. You're important. And then if you can add on, I love you. I love you. And start really looking in the eyes and just, start really seeing. And you almost have to look past this to see in the eyes. Your eyes almost will go blurry for who you are on the outside. And if you can do that, no matter where you're at, Then as you start to lose the weight or start working on the weight or start working on the self-image or the self-inner image, because I had to do a lot of work on my self-inner image, that as we work on that and we start doing that, it's amazing how it doesn't matter really what happens on the outside. We're kind of okay-ish. I wouldn't say that I'm always okay with who I am, because there's certain things that I like to stay kind of, for lack of a better word, that I understand if I put on extra weight, what am I protecting myself from? So I kind of look at those scenarios. If I'm having a hard time not wearing makeup, why am I having a hard time not wearing makeup? So I purposely not wear makeup to be able to work with my image as I am. So there's those things that we kind of find comfort in, that the working through that, and just saying, not enough of us say that I'm worthy, I deserve, I'm okay, you're okay, I'm okay, we're okay. It's that conversation that we have, because we're so taught that we're not. ...
But you've got to be okay exactly as you are.
Exactly.
And not live by anybody else's standards. Not live by that mother in you that says, dear, you're just, you need to lose some weight or the men aren't going to come, and all that. Regan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think we talked about it before, and it's the same thing that Natasha was saying. So I'm going to reiterate her point a little bit. And that's a basic thing that I do with any of my clients, whether it's for spiritual stuff or whatever. It all comes down to self-love. And when we're spend a lot of our energy in that, like not liking ourselves, being loathing ourselves, and all, and like, oh, I'm so horrible, blah 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 blah. It's just so non-productive. And what I learned now, technically, about how the mind works, and that's one thing that was great about going to the hypnotherapy school for a couple of years, because they really knew how this all works in here, is your subconscious, in a way, doesn't know the difference between fiction and nonfiction, or reality and non-reality. It's kind of programmed. And so we've kind of programmed ourselves that when we see that person in the mirror that we've thought bad of, and we go glance in the mirror, we go, oh, there's a person I don't like. Well, you can reverse that. So like doing what she says, if you're looking in the mirror and you stand there, I have my people just says it's going to feel real silly at first. I says, if you have, just take a shower. When you come out of the shower, you're all naked and look in the mirror. And I said, now you might have to fake it till you make it, but that works. Even faking it till you make it. You just stand there and you try to look yourself in the eye as much as you can. And you just go, I love you, man. Oh my God, I feel hate. I said, people, they get so embarrassed and they laugh just thinking about saying they love themselves, which isn't that interesting? We should be the person we love the most in the world. And so by doing that exercise, what's happening is, if a person was walking by that you loved and you saw them, and all of a sudden you get all these warm fuzzies inside, and say it's your spouse or your significant other, and you go, oh man, I love you. Well, when you look in the mirror, so what that means is every time your partner starts to come by, your subconscious identifies that as someone you love. So it starts sending the happy hormones in your body, because, oh, there's a person I love. Well, when you look in the mirror and you start with as much as you can, and it can grow over time as you start doing this every day for a while, you look in the mirror and you go, oh, I love you, man. Well, your subconscious starts going, wow, the last time this was a person we didn't like, and now we're saying we like them. Oh, okay. And then the next time subconscious goes, I guess we really like this person. Okay. And it starts sending out the good hormones. And pretty soon you look in the mirror, you don't even have to say anything to yourself. You get that little glint in your eye and you just go, wow, you're pretty cool, man. I love you. And it feels real. But you've reprogrammed your subconscious to be on your side now, of this is a person that you love, So whether it's an image in a mirror you see, or someone's right in front of you that's really there, it's the same thing to the subconscious. You're seeing someone and you're saying you love them, and it's going, okay, well, I'll put that hate aside. I guess we're going to start loving this person, so it works.
Yeah. Or give them a cookie.
Yeah.
And I want to add another little twist into this little gadget here, that many of us say, I want to lose weight. Well, if we lose something, don't we usually want to find it again? So playing on the words here, I want to relieve myself of this story of having extra weight. I want to be done having extra weight. Change the context, because the subconscious does hear words that we're saying. Because most of the time we want to find what we lose.
True.
Yeah.
And so, and that's the thing is that, in some ways, because of being at the age that I'm at, my body's kind of playing with, my weight a little bit different, but I'm just kind of saying, I want to get in shape where I'm at, which will equal either me shifting my weight or it will equal me feeling better. Either way, I'm good to go. So it is that dance of being very careful of what we do say to ourselves.
Yeah, and a lot of it too could be just the food that they're eating. I mean, we've been programmed in this society, just do the fast food, everything that's unhealthy. And sometimes it's as simple as that. But mindfulness, in other words, if you're going to make a change, you have to kind of, put everything out, make a list. Like I have some of my clients do, is make a list of everything that you eat down there. And when they really put it on a list and they look and they go, oh my God, this is really bad, but they've just been doing it because that's how they've been kind of programmed. Like sodas. Oh my gosh, some people, we grow up and we've been brainwashed that Coke and Pepsi and all that is just, that's what you do. You just drink lots and lots of it. The sugar that's in there and the amount of calories and everything, that adds up to a lot of pounds. And people go, well, it's just a drink. Well, no, that's that extra ounce you put on your body every day when you have one of those, and then when you start educating yourself and you see a Coke or Pepsi, and then you kind of look at it for a minute and you become mindful and you go, oh, should I be doing this? And then you got to do a little work, and you got to like I tell people, I said, well, don't just throw it out altogether. If you have 3 or 4 Cokes a day, just try having 2, spread them out, put a lot of ice in there and make it seem like you're drinking a lot more. So, trick yourself for a little while, kind of wean yourself off of a little bit. And that gives them power. Once they've gone down to 2 a day, they go, well, I'm still alive. I got through 2 and I feel good about myself. And then, so sometimes it's just simple as that. It's just, bad habits that they have. So I find most of the time it's a combination of things, a combination of what they were, their life experience. It's a combination of what the troubles were in their life, combination of just being brainwashed by society that these are good foods and they're not. So I guess
and then the gene pool. Then we got to add in the gene pool.
Yeah. Sometimes it's that too, So.
Well, I'm curious to know because according to my belief structure and Regan's as well, and I assume Natasha as well, because of the body that we chose on the other side, before we came down here, we chose the body for a specific reason, for specific purposes. And some of those, that's why I believe, honestly, that's why in a lot of cases, people that lose a bunch of weight gain it back, because that wasn't their body's design and that wasn't what they were meant to be. I'll give you an example. When I was in high school, when I was a senior in high school, I weighed 178 pounds. And according to my pediatrician, I was obese. I was an all-star or a all-conference player on the football team. I played on the baseball team. I played on I was a wrestler, and my body fat was probably 10%. Or less. And but I weighed 180 pounds, and according to the charts, I was obese. And we feed our kids that kind of stuff, and we don't feed them correctly. But I think that when we're on the other side and we pick the body that we're going to have, these are some of the pitfalls that we may be working to get rid of. Does that make sense? The experience we want to have, or to learn how to not do what that body is designed to do.
Yeah, that's part of the networking, because we have, past lives, we have the DNA, we have life experiences, we have, so it is part of that networking, because a lot of times we may think that we want to come in with a more fitter body, but then we get terribly abused when we're children. And then our parents try to cover it up by feeding us something. It's like and that circle keeps going around and around and around. And unless we quit that, we're not going to fix it. And so that's why some people gain weight again. But yet at the same time, though, we have these scenarios that we kind of sign up for, kind of like for me, when I was signing up to come in, it was like, I'm not going to get poisoned this lifetime. I'm going to be free from getting my neck cut off. I'm going to, but yet at the same time, though, that actually caused other problems, because now it's like, I can't eat nuts. I can't eat corn. I can't, it's like, I had a hard time with, smoothies don't go down my throat, it's like, there's certain things that just don't happen, which is almost a detriment on the other side of that.
So you can't swallow a smoothie? I think
it doesn't go, it really doesn't go down. I gag every time.
I think you need to hire a hypnotherapist. Do you know any?
No, I've been working on it, because I've known the cause for a lot of years in my life, and I have worked on navigating through it, and I'm to that point where my self-confidence in me, who's controlling who? I always ask that question. Who's controlling who? And my throat has been controlling me for a lot of years. So now it's my turn to have a better health. So I'm working on it.
I think what we're saying is, losing weight or whatever our problems are, it's complicated.
It is complicated.
And what we do, what Natasha and I do, is we just try to help you uncomplicate it. Like someone might come to me and I take a few strands of that complication away, and then they do some work themselves. And then they go to someone like Natasha that tells them something, and then they have a dream that gives them some insight. But I think, mindfulness, that's the only term I can think of right now, because people understand what that is. It's just, if you're going to have a happy life, you want to just, in other words, when you're eating, you want to know you're eating. When you're sleeping, you want to know you're sleeping. When you're feeling bad, you want to know you're feeling bad. Just instead of just being zombies and going through life, is it just the fact that you acknowledge to yourself what you're going through, and as you're going through it, is goes a long way to kind of help you to untangle everything. So in meditation, meditation helps. Learning to eat right. I mean, as much as I'm preaching it too, I mean, I'm reaching for that chocolate chip cookie every night before I go to bed, but I used to have 4 or 5 cookies, and now I'm having 1. So
what, you living in the DoubleTree or something? They give you cookies all the time at home?
No, I'll just make them. I love those the chocolate or just the Hostess cupcakes, or just something chocolate, so I still got.
There again, though, we are on this life to live.
Yeah. And
there is a fine line between being healthy and kind of enjoying ourselves. And so if I can, because since I can't eat anything with nuts, so I'm down to chocolate chips for my chocolate, that me having a handful of chocolate chips is not going to make or break things. But yet at the same time, I know the difference between having the healthier chocolate chips than a Reese's peanut butter cup. Because if I have a Reese's peanut butter cup, I want to eat the bag. But if I have my chocolate chips, I'm satisfied with a handful, because it has different makeup in it. It's made from a different company. It's made. And so just making different choices sometimes can be that alteration. But I'm going to, because we're coming down on time here, I wanted to say, though, this being the solstice, happy solstice to everyone.
Oh, yeah.
But we have a connection of planets together that are setting us up. What kind of life do we want to live? We have a way to rewrite so much of our contract right now if we choose to have a life that we are wanting. Remember, what you say is what you're going to have. So if you're saying, I'm overweight, I'm always overweight, I'm overweight, what are you going to be?
Yeah.
Overweight. Oh God, I ache. What are you going to be? Like I have my fingers are starting to ache because I'm eating something that's not right. And instead of saying, oh, I have arthritis coming on, I noticed that like this finger's about liver. So I'm kind of taking care of my liver. check in to see why your body is talking to you, and you can navigate through things a little bit different. But I want everybody to know that at any point in time, solstice or not, you can write a new contract for moving forward different in your lives. It just takes that moment to say, I want to be done with, and I am going to receive.
One good mindful thing to ask yourself every time you do something is you say, okay, am I doing short-term comfort or long-term gain? In other words, so many times, like, you want to lose 30 pounds and you're going to go to the gym and lift weights and everything, and your body, your subconscious is saying, man, I don't want to get all sweaty today. And I gotta get up. It's an extra hour early and I got to go to the gym. And then when you sleep in and all that, you're just taking short-term comfort. But you have to really look at, if you did go to the gym and you did that, how good you're going to feel about yourself. And the long-term gain is where you really want to be. You want to be healthy and everything. So just to be mindful. And, and if you do short-term comfort, you go, oh, okay, but at least you're making the decision consciously to not go to the gym. And just doing that is going to help you to go for the long-term gain more times than not, because you can't play dumb anymore. You're realizing you made the conscious decision to either, just be comfortable for a little bit or whatever. And we all know that when we do the long-term gain, that's generally when we feel best about ourselves, because we're making headway somewhere.
Well, it's just like some people who have dairy, and they go, oh, I feel so terrible. I just had cheese. Well, I always think, well, how am I going to feel after this? Do I want to start it? No, but I've always had that knowing. If I don't want to end it, why should I start it? So I didn't start smoking because I didn't want to have to quit it. I did.
Yeah. That's easy for you to say.
That you choose.
That's easy for you to say, by the way.
I know. I have, there again, I kind of came into this world with knowings, and I don't know why. I just know that I just came into this world with knowings.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we need to wrap this up, and this is going to be our last episode of the year.
Yeah.
Look at Natasha, her face just dropped because you're on the road next Monday. And so we've made the executive decision that we're going to take the next Sunday off, or next Monday off. And then our next show will be January 4th.
Yeah.
At 4:00, which is a Monday. So that'll take some pressure off of everybody, I think. And but let's talk about Regan first of all this time. How can somebody reach you, my friends?
Okay, I have a website. It's called visittheafterlife.com. Visittheafterlife.com. There's a lot of great videos on there showing people going through the reincarnation, past life regression process. Lots of videos and information. There's a free ebook you can get there. It's called Reincarnation is Real, about all the latest research being done all over the country by a lot of places. I mean, we've basically proven reincarnation. We've got between the Newton Institute and the Cannon School, Dolores Cannon School, we've done over 100,000 people that have gone to past lives. So we know it's real. To us, we don't even question it anymore. And if you want to experience that, you can call me. The past life regressions actually could be done on Zoom. Now, to go beyond that to a life between lives is where you see yourself pass away and there's an angel or guide there, and we have them take you to heaven where you get to ask questions, go before a council, visit loved ones that have passed on, and it's easy to do. Almost anybody can do it. So get hold of me on my website. There's phone numbers on there. If you want to call me, you can. I'll even give you my number now. Someone might see this a year from now and call me, and as long as I'm still alive, I'll answer the phone. But it's 818-926-8401. And thanks for watching today. And tell other people about our show, because we just love talking about anything about what happens when you die in the afterlife and why we're here and the meaning of life and stuff.
Absolutely. Natasha?
I'm a medium, personal awareness coach, and that when I work through things with you, my intention is always to have the less judgment I can, because obviously if I've done something in a past life or even in this life, why should I judge anyone? So with that when I have a session with you, my intention is to help you with what your need is. And sometimes I've had people who just say, I don't have any questions. And the universe just says, and they go, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Okay, yeah, I guess I'm supposed to work on that now, and I have people who have sent me emails saying, I listened to your CD back when I used to do CDs. And what you said still helps me to this day. It helps me keep going on that coax, because that's what the guides do. They give me, things to help you through your life. And that's my only wish, is to help people get through their life, because this life isn't meant to be punishing, especially self-punishing. And so if we can just get through this life with a little bit more, oh, okay, that makes life a whole lot easier. So you can reach me at angelicclarifications.com or Natasha at angelicclarifications.com.
And I'd like to close with, first of all, I'm not a medium. I'm well done. But
I thought you were really rare.
You see,
I've never met a person like you. I think you're rare.
I think so too.
You've never met a person like me? How could that possibly be? In any event, but Susan had a comment that I think bears repeating, and that is, I think most, if not all of our issues have to do with self-love, and it's about our blocking it. And I refer to it as we're listening to and believing stories that don't exist.
Yes.
There's stories that people have told us, that we have listened to, and through magazines and through television and through movies, of how we're supposed to be, who we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to look like, how we're supposed to behave. And we're telling ourselves stories that don't exist. And what you need to do is to go find your own story. That's my story, dang it.
And start looking in the mirror to do that. Start looking at yourself in the mirror to do that. And that's the only truth that there really is the one that's looking in the mirror.
Yep. And if you need to, get a really tall one or a really wide one, but get one that you can fit in, and then be proud of yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Be proud of who you are.
Anything from today. That's just the I love you exercise.
Yeah.
So you can do it when nobody's around, just start doing it, and you will, I'll definitely tell you, after a few weeks of doing it, you're going to think you're a different person.
And I even wake up going, I love you. I love you. Thank you for waking up this morning. I love you. I love you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for waking up this morning.
Yeah. For some of us, it's more of a surprise than others. Like, damn, I made it again.
I'm always grateful when I do, because you never know what tomorrow's going to have, or the next minute's going to have. I'm just amazed at what life can do.
Yeah.
And at this
maybe
moment,
when you wake up, first thing you could say is, when you realize you are alive again, is just say, bless this day and those I serve, is a good way to start the day.
That's a great thing. Say that again.
Yeah. Bless this day and those I serve, and realize it's all about doing something for the universe, doing something on the plus side.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and remember, we're in that equation of who we serve.
Exactly. It could, if you're by yourself all day, then you nurture yourself,
Exactly.
Especially in this time of COVID, when a lot of us end up, this is going to be, for some of us, is going to be a difficult Christmas because we can't be with loved ones.
Yeah.
We're going to be isolated a little bit. And just remember that you are loved, as Natasha says all the time.
Yes.
And that take care of yourself. Have a very Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah.
Or whatever you believe in. Have blessings.
Right.
Have a wonderful holiday, whatever you're doing. But just remember, take care of yourself and take care of each other, because each other is all we got.
All we got.
Hey, and thanks for listening to this episode all the way to the end. Hey, pretty cool. Hey, don't forget to follow us so you can receive regular updates and new posts. And remember, take care of each other, because each other is all we got. See you next time on My Independence Report.